Welcome to week 31. Today we're going to continue our 16th note syncopation rhythm warm-up. We will do the next 3 half-diminished chords in our half-diminished drill. Now notice that today I'm using the actual half-diminished sign rather than the minor 7 flat 5. This is just something you have to get used to in music. There's many names for most things in music, and so I'll try to do my best to change it up, and so that when you see these out in the wild, you will think minor 7 flat 5 is the same thing as half diminished 7. So don't let that throw you off. Also, we'll be looking at that Locrian mode. And then today's sight reading is a sonatina I wrote in the key of G major. However, since we are in the half diminished section of our curriculum, we will be exploring the darker side of a major key. So without further ado, let's go get rhythmically warmed up at the drum. For today's rhythm warm-up, we're going to start with line 1, and we will say and play it before we add the metronome. So let's go ahead and say and play line 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E, 2, 3 E, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 E and 2, 3 and 4. Switch hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E, 2, 3 E, 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1 E and 2, 3 and 4. Top line hands together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E, 2, 3 E, 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1 E and 2, 3 and 4. All right. Let's add the metronome. It's going to be on the downbeats, and we're going to have it set at 40 BPM. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E, 2, 3 E, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 E and 2, 3 and switch hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E, 2, 3 E, 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1 E and 2, 3 and 4. Top line. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E, 2, 3 E, 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1 E and 2, 3 and 4. There we have it. Let's move on to line 2, which we will say and play before we add the metronome. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 E, 2, 3 E, 4, 1 E, 2 E, 3 and switch your hands. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 E, 2, 3 E, 4, 1 E, 2 E, 3 and top line hands together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 E and 2 and a 3, 4 and 1 E, 2, a 3 E, 4, a 1 E, a 2 E, a 3 and 4. Alrighty, let's try that with the metronome on 45 BPM, and now the clicks will represent the upbeats. Here we go, line 2. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and a 1 E and 2 and a 3, 4 and 1 E, 2, a 3 E, 4, a 1 E, a 2 E, a 3 and switch hands. 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and a 1 E and 2 and a 3, 4 and 1 E, 2, a 3 E, 4, a 1 E, a 2 E, a 3 and top line hands together. 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and a 1 E and 2 and a 3, 4 and 1 E, 2, a 3 E, 4, a 1 E, a 2 E, a 3 and 4. Excellent. Now that we're rhythmically warmed up, let's head back to the piano. For today's half diminished chords, we will be looking at A minor 7 flat 5, E minor 7 flat 5, and B minor 7 flat 5. Let's go look at those on the keyboard. We'll get things started with A minor 7 flat 5, or A half diminished, and we'll do our inversions in our right hand. Do the inversions in the left hand. Let's do one chord but with two hands. And now let's think about A Locrian. So A is the T of B flat. All right, so we're going to play the B flat major scale, except we're going to start on A, and it will sound like this. And we'll change it. There we go. Let's look at E half diminished. So this is going to be our right hand inversions first. Let's do our left hand inversions. And let's do one chord with both of our hands. Okay, now let's talk about E Locrian. So here our E is the T of F, right? So we're simply going to play the F major scale, but we're going to play from E to E with the chord on the bottom. And let's switch that up. Fantastic. And now this brings us to everybody's favorite half diminished chord, B half diminished, which is the only half diminished that has all white notes. We'll do our right hand inversions first. Let's do our left hand. And then let's do one chord, but with two hands. And then, think about it, B is the T of C, right? So not only is it everyone's favorite half diminished chord, it's everyone's favorite Locrian scale, because we're going to be playing in the key of C, but we're going to be starting and ending on B. Let's give that a try. And we'll switch our hands. For today's reading, I had a little fun with the idea of the Sonatina in a major key, because I really tried to run away from the major key as quickly as I could, as we'll see in this, and visit some of the minor keys that are related to G major. However, I never fully modulated away from G major, and we always do bring it back. So it is technically in a major key, but we're going to have a little bit of fun with the darker side of a major key. Now, before we actually dive into the nitty-gritty of the harmonies, let's point out some formal structures, all right? We know that because a sonatina means that it's a circular form, right? There's a beginning, and then you travel away to the middle, and then you come back and you bring it back to the beginning, right? So we see we sort of have this opening gesture here, almost like an intro, and we can definitely see that that is going to get brought back in over here, right? So we can see that our first theme is right here, and then that theme is going to return right here. So we can see that all of this purple right here is basically the same stuff. We're not going to have to read that much new stuff, which means that our explorative area where we kind of really diverge from the original idea is going to be right here. And then of course, we're going to tie a nice bow on the end of it with a little outro right here. All right. So now we can actually go in and dive in to these harmonies and see what's going on. Okay, so like all good pieces, we're going to be starting on the 1, and immediately we're going to be jumping out of the key with a secondary dominant. All right, so here we have a 5/7 of the 5. All right, not too bad. And then finally, we are going to have our 5/7. Now here's what's going to happen right here. Right, we're gonna have another 5/7 right here, and so I kind of just wanted to decorate that 5/7, but I didn't want to like go too far away from the chords. So what I used is a common tone diminished chord. All right, and so what that is it's a fully diminished chord, but it's built off of the same root as the 5/7. So if our 5/7 is a D7, then this is going to be a D fully diminished. And what that kind of allows us to do is change inversion, right? Here we have a third inversion, and then we want to move up to a root. And in order to do that, instead of just simply moving the chord, you know, got to be a little bit fancy here. So we're going to use this transitionary common tone diminished chord because they have that common D, right? And so pretty simple little intro right there. And of course, that will bring us to the 1 once again. All right. Now, like I said, here's where we finally are going to, now that our ear has been set up for the key of G, now we're going to run as far away from the key of G as we can by immediately hitting up that minor 4. All right, you all know if you've been watching this series that I love the minor 4. So I figured, okay, let's explore a little bit of the minor 4. So this is not going to be a full modulation, okay? So we're not going to start analyzing it in the key of C minor because we only have 3 measures here, but I do want to show you how we're going to use secondary chords thinking about C minor, all right? So here we have our minor 4, which is C minor, and we're going to do a 2-5-1 to get back to our C minor, which is going to be over here, right? And so this is where our half diminished comes in, right? Because when you have a 2-5 to a minor key, that's when you start using the half diminished or the dominant 7 with the flat 9 in it, right? So let's think to ourselves, what is the 2 of C? And that would be D, right? So we have a 2 minor 7 flat 5 of the 6 of the minor 4, right? Now this is maybe one of the reasons why people might write 2 minor 7 flat 5 or use the minor 7 flat 5 instead of that little circle with the slash through it, because, you know, on a simple annotation software like this, you know, it's not, I guess if you maybe pay for the premium upgrade, you can get a half diminished symbol, but you don't always have that in your toolkit. So you need a way to be able to explain half diminished without having that fancy little circle graphic. So the minor 7 flat 5 is a great way to do that. All right. Now our 2 minor 7 flat 5 is going to lead to our 5 7 with the flat 9 of that same minor 4, right? And then finally we are going to get back to our minor 4 right here. And that has pushed this way over. All right. Now, we do, like I said, I've been running away from the 1, but I do want to keep us in that key. So I'm going to pull us back into the key of G right here with everyone's favorite cadence, the 5-7 to the 1. All right. Now, moving right along, we're going to continue exploring that 5-7 to the 1 as we wind down our idea and arrive to the middle part of the phrase. So we're going to have another 5-7 to 1. And now it's going to start changing just a bit, all right? Because where we're headed is, I figured since we just looked at the minor 4, we should head to the 4, all right? So over here, we're going to end up on the actual major 4 chord, all right? And so to get there, we're going to have to sort of finagle our secondary chords. And so we're going to make the 1 into a dominant sound. So we're going to paint that with a flat 7, which is technically going to turn this into the 5-7 of the 4, okay? So we are having a lot of fun secondary chords and dominant chords. Now that's going to lead us to our minor 4 because there's some nice voice leading right there. However, we don't want to end on the minor 4. So we'll revisit that 5-7 of the major 4, and then that will take us to the actual major 4, which is kind of nice when our ear has been so used to hearing the minor 4, and suddenly you have a major cadence point where you actually land on the major 4. It's a really cool effect, and it's sort of like you've been seeing some clouds in the sky, and suddenly a ray of sunshine comes out and it's nice and bright, okay? However, we're not going to stay there too long, all right? It's still kind of a cloudy day. And so what I'm going to do here is in the middle section, we're going to do a more textbook exploration of minor, okay? So the minor 4 is a little bit unusual of a place to explore. Now, it's not unheard of, it's not illegal, it's you know, artistic, right? But we're going to go to a more traditional minor sound when it comes to a major key, and you guessed it, that's right, we're going to be looking at the 6, all right? The relative minor is a very common place to be exploring. So we're going to hit that minor 6 right here, and it'll stay right here as well, and then we're going to start our secondary dominant, so our secondary chords, right? So here we have our 2 minor 7 flat 5 of the 6. Then we have our 5-7 of the 6, and then our 6, and our 6 again. Now this phrase kind of repeats, right? Now here's the thing, all right? Why go through all the trouble of understanding this harmony? And the thing is that, you know, sometimes we can use that to limit the amount of actual black dot reading that we have to do, sitting there counting spaces and lines when we're actually looking for those notes. If we know that they're part of these chords, right? We know that this is some kind of F sharp minor, and then this is going to be some kind of B minor, and then this is going to be some kind of D half diminished, and this is going to be some kind of G7 with a flat 9. That helps us find the notes, right? Continuing on, now like I said, this is a repeated phrase, so we actually are going to just once again have our 2 minor 7 with the flat 5, and that's going to bring us to the 5 of the 6. Oops, I'm sorry, 2 minor 7 flat 5 of the 6. And then we have our 5 of the 6, which in this case is the B. And then that does bring us ultimately to the 6. But we need to get back to our 1, right? And so think about it. In order to get to the 6, we use the major 4. So guess what? We're going to use the major 4 once again to get back to the 1. And in fact, is this enough 1 for you? 1, 1, 1, 1, right? It's like we got to really blast that 1 to remind the ear that yes, we are still in the key of G despite all this minor stuff that you've been hearing. Now guess what? We don't need to analyze any of this because we've already done that. This is a literal repeat of that information. I will pencil in this chord right here, this 5-7, because it is going to be important for getting us to this last line. Now, one thing that I always say is that if you use an element in your composition, you want to try to use it more than once, right? Repetition legitimizes your ideas, okay? And so I wanted to hint back at the very end, I wanted to hint back at that minor 6, okay? So real quick, from that 5-7, we jump back into the 2 minor 7, flat 5. Is that enough of a mouthful for you? Well, of the 6, right? There we go. Let's scooch that over just a bit to the actual 5-7 of the 6. And then we have our 6, the 6 and the 4, right? Those have been hanging out a lot this time. And then finally, a very simple ending, the 1, the 5-7, and then our 1. And we're going to end on a nice resolute 1 in root position, which remember we call that the perfect, authentic cadence. All right, the PAC. Now before we put this on the keyboard, remember that I always recommend when you're learning a new piece like this to try it hands separately and to go slowly. There is no shame in taking it way under tempo, okay? Because if we can get the right notes in our mind without any mistakes, then it will be easier once we want to speed it up, right? If you practice too fast and you're making lots of mistakes, you are practicing those mistakes. You are downloading those mistakes into your brain every time you make them. And therefore, like, well, why can't I play this accurately? Well, because you've made so many mistakes when you've been practicing that you've practiced them, right? So going slow allows us to limit the amount of mistakes that we are making and to really take a good look at these notes. But for brevity's sake today, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the Sonatina in G major today, hands together. If you enjoyed today's lesson and you would like to support the Piano Dojo, you can find today's music, show notes and more at my website, pianodojo.com, or you could just subscribe and share this channel with anybody who's looking for answers about the piano. Until next time, happy practicing.